guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Susie and I'm the owner and creator here at Susie on the Farm. Thanks so much for watching this video. In this week's video, I have a few little thrift flips we're going to do, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy them. So let's go ahead and get started with the projects. So I picked up this little picnic basket. I see these a lot at the thrift stores. I think it was about $2.99. It's in really good shape, but the color was just too light, so I want to darken it up a lot. I'm using Waverly antiquing wax, and I'm just kind of watering it down with a little water and then spreading it all over the basket with a chip brush, trying to get into all those little crevices. Now, this was a little thicker than I wanted, so I'm taking the water bottle and just spritzing the basket to make the wax spread a little easier. And then I'm going to take a paper towel and just wipe it back to bring back a little bit of that lighter color underneath. And I did the whole basket this way, and then I let it dry completely. Once the basket was dry, I wanted to put a label type on it with some drop cloth. I see people doing this all the time, and I have never done it. So I'm just going to start cutting the drop cloth and then tear it the rest of the way and kind of fray the edges just a little bit. I'm going to use the Antiquities stamp. I really love this stamp set. It's got lots of little small stamps that go perfectly on a lot of different things. This one is the little chicken, so I'm just going to center it up on the drop cloth and use some black ink. And when you are stamping on fabric, you really want to ink up your stamp really well and press it down really good to make sure that all that ink gets off on your fabric. This one turned out pretty good. To attach it to the basket once it's dry, I am going to use a little bit of, oh, never mind. I decided the basket was too dark. So now I'm going to take some white paint and just dry brush some of it over the basket until it gets the look that I desire. And then we're going to put this on. And I'm going to use polyacrylic. I didn't want to use Mod Podge because it's kind of thick and I didn't want it to show through the drop cloth. So I've seen people use like DIY Big Top and stuff like that for that. So I'm going to try this, and I'm going to go over the back of the drop cloth and the basket, and then I'm going to take some polyacrylic and just go over the top of it as well. It is going to change the color slightly, but I think once it dries, you will not be able to tell at all. And just to soften everything up a little bit, I'm going to go over it with some clear wax. And I'm going to take pictures of this, but I didn't wait until that drop cloth dried completely. But it did lighten up once it dried. And I do love this basket so much more now. What do you guys think? So sometimes when I pick up items at the thrift store, I have no idea what my plan for them will be. But when I saw this frame, I knew exactly what I wanted to do with it. I loved the wood color and the beautiful color on that mat. If you didn't like the mat, though, you could turn it over and use the white. But I love this mat, and all I'm going to do is paint the inside with some white paint. If I had taken this out of the frame, it would have really messed up the back, which was in really nice shape. So I didn't. I just took a smaller brush and tried to keep the white paint off of the wood color of the frame, and I just painted the background white. It didn't have to be perfect because we are going to put that mat back over it. So I gave it 2 coats of a white chalk paint, and then I sealed it with a polyacrylic. Once I did that, I put the mat back in to decide what I was going to do next, and I knew that I had these transfers left in the brocante transfer booklet. I'm still using the original brocante book that I got before I even became an IOD stockist. So I had these 3 transfers left, and they fit perfectly inside the circles on the mat. So that's all I did, was put these 3 transfers on. The front of the frame was not glass. It was like this plastic plexiglass, and it looked like it was really faded, but once I got the transfers on, I really wanted to have a little bit more protection, so I just put that plexiglass back in there, and that's all there is to it. That's how easy this one is, and I love the way that this frame looks with these beautiful transfers. This one will be available on my website, susieonthefarm.com, along with all your IOD products and now Fusion paint. I don't have all the colors or all the products yet, but as I'm getting them in, I am adding them to the website for you guys. I love the Fusion paint. I'm going to start using it on all of my furniture. I always pick up wooden utensils. They're usually only about 25 cents. So I had a pretty big stash of wooden utensils and this little mini cutting board that I had picked up somewhere. So I thought that I would give them all just a little makeover. Sometimes I just want to do some little smalls. They're just so satisfying. I get into these bigger things with all these details when it's just so much fun to use some different colors and paint these. So I am using DIY Apothecary. At this point, I did not have all my Fusion paint in, and I still have quite a bit of DIY, and I do love using DIY. The difference in the Fusion and this is the Fusion is all in one, so I won't have to seal and wax and all that. But sometimes I still like to use waxes to add detail and give color changes too. But this is Apothecary, one of my favorite DIY colors. So I'm just painting all these utensils front and back with 2 coats of this paint, and then we're going to use some stamps on them. Once everything is dry, I got out my crockery stamps. This is still one of my very favorite stamp sets. It's also one of my best-selling stamp sets. I got this one before I even became an IOD stockist. So I'm just going to use black ink and put bits and pieces of these different stamps. For the cutting board, I am using this Royal lemon curd stamp, and I'm just going to center it up, and then I'm also going to take a little bit of detail from another stamp and do on the bottom of it. And then for the utensils, I'm just going to take some bits and pieces and put them on different places on the utensils. And then once I have everything stamped and the ink is all dry, I am going to wax them with some DIY clear wax. For this little cutting board, I'm also going to take my ink pad and just faux distress the edges a little bit with it, just to bring out a little bit more detail on it. Pro tip, you always want to clean your stamps immediately after you're done using them. I just keep a baby wipe handy and wipe them off, usually while they're still on the plastic backing. It's so easy to clean them up then, and it saves a lot of hassle later on once your ink is dried. I'm going to take my wet wipe and just distress these utensils around the edges a little bit before I seal them up, and then these are done. I tied a few of them together and put a little piece of greenery on some of them. There are just so many different ways you can style wooden utensils like this. Next up, I got these little potted greenery plants, and they were in a metal basket. I took them out of the basket and I'm going to use it for something else, but I wanted to dress these up a little bit. They're kind of like peat pots. They're not ceramic and not clay or anything. They're kind of soft. At first I was just going to dry brush some white paint on there and be done with it, but I just really didn't like the way that looked, so I decided to come back with some apothecary and also dry brush over the white to give it just a little bit more contrast. And I really didn't like that either. So what I did was I took the apothecary then and completely painted both of the pots with the apothecary, and then I had a clean slate to work with. Once the paint was completely dry, I'm going to use some transfer scraps. I think a lot of these came out of, well, I'm not sure, but I'll figure it out and put it on the screen here where these transfers came from. They're just some little flowers, and I just thought that they would dress up these pots some. While I was painting these, as you can see, a lot of the greenery is falling off of them, so I'm gonna have to replace a lot of that anyway just to make these look better. But first we're gonna let this paint dry and put the transfers on. If you have never used a transfer, they're super easy. You can put them on about any surface you can think of. So I just took some little flowers here. This one's a little pink flower, and I also have these little pink roses, so I thought that that would be nice. I am putting it on the bottom and then some up on the little lip too. You can manipulate these transfers to go about any shape as well. Just have to be a little careful with them. So I got that flower on, and then I'm going to cut these roses down and position them in there just with the greenery that's already in there. And this little guy turned out so cute. I did this before Mother's Day, so I gave one of these to my mother-in-law with her gift. And then this one I'm going to use a little daisy, and we're going to do some different floral in it. I love using transfers on textured things because it releases so easy. You barely even have to rub at all, and the transfer comes off. Just be sure you take your little plastic backing and burnish it onto your surface when you're finished. So since this one had a yellow flower, I'm going to just put a random assortment of little wildflowers that I had in my floral stash. Once I got them all arranged like I wanted, I just did some clear wax over both of them, and that's it. These guys are so stinking cute now. I love doing little floral pots. I think that they add so much to your staging and your decor. I love picking up plain, clear apothecary jars and putting transfers on them. It's so easy and it creates so much detail. I'm going to use some scraps from the Whispering Willow transfer pack, just some mushrooms on this one. Transfers are super easy to apply to glass. I had sold out of all my little apothecary jars, so I definitely need to be mindful in picking up more of them and putting transfers on them. So easy, so much detail added to a plain glass container that people can use to put whatever they want to in them and display beautifully. I'm going to finish this one off just by adding a sweet little ribbon and tying into a bow. For today's last project, we're going to dress up this cute little wooden box I found. It's pretty dirty, so I cleaned it up as best I could, and then I'm going to paint it with Dixie Belle Vintage Duck Egg. This is a beautiful blue color, and I'm going to paint the inside and outside with 2 coats. While I finished painting this, I wanted to let y'all know that I have not forgot about the new IOD summer release. This video should be out on the 24th, which is the date of the new release. I do have molds and stamps in I don't have transfers yet. I do have inlays as well. I don't have my transfers, and I am going to be doing some projects with them, but y'all have been so busy. Mom and I went on a little trip, which is going to be probably next week's video. But I just have not had a chance to do a video for the IOD release, which is what I usually do. I'm also in the process of moving from one booth to the other. So if you're local and you're looking for me, just send me a message on Facebook. I probably won't have the new products at the old store, and the new store is not opening till the 1st of June. So just send me a Facebook message if there's something you want. Like I said, I don't have transfers yet. Back to this project. I got it all painted up, and now I am going to use the rest of my, or not the rest of, some of the rest of my Desperado transfer pack. I think I still have one of these left. It's one of my favorites. It is retired now. I'm just going to use some of this detail all around the bottom, and then we'll add some color in with some floral. You can mix and match over the top of your transfers, but I love all this black and white detail of this transfer book, and I think it just gives so much interest to anything that you put it on. So I'm just going to get this all fixed up like I want it, and then add some floral, and then I'm going to seal it with some polyacrylic, and this little box will be done. This is perfect to sit on a nightstand to put your rings in or your glasses or whatever at night. It will hold a lot of stuff and look great with any decor. So I'm going to use a few more floral from the Floral Anthology. This is also the book that I got that I put the florals on the other project earlier that I couldn't remember. I'm just going to put some flowers on the top and one or two on the bottom. And I love this little box. What do you guys think? I'll put this on the website for sale. This will be under my upcycled items on SusieOnTheFarm.com. That's all for today. I hope that y'all have enjoyed this video and today's upcycled items. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Ring that notification bell so you know when I upload a new video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you again next week.